Dr. Mary-Claire King recently came out with a commentary in the medical journal JAMA indicating that it may be time to consider doing BRCA1 and 2 testing for all women in the general population. Now, this came as kind of a surprise to many of us working in the field because up until now, we've only offered BRCA1 and 2 testing to men and women at increased risk for hereditary breast and ovarian cancer, either because of a personal history of the disease or a family history of the disease. But when Dr. Mary-Claire King talks, we all listen. She's a renowned scientist, she discovered BRCA1, and she's a thought leader in the field. She pushes things forward. So is it time to think about population screening for BRCA1 and 2 for everyone right now? I think it requires a little bit more thought. Why? Whenever we introduce a new technology or a new testing scheme, we want to make sure that the benefits outweigh the risks. What are the benefits of BRCA1 and 2 testing? Well, if you know that you carry one of these mutations and that you're at high risk for both breast and ovarian cancer, we can offer these men and women increased surveillance at a younger age, even prophylactic surgery to reduce their risk of ever getting the disease. That's important. But for the general population, people who aren't of Jewish ancestry and who don't have a family history of cancer or a personal history of cancer, we think that the chance of that happening is about 1 in 600. But the chance of finding a genetic variant of uncertain significance is actually 3 to 4%. So it's a higher number than the chance of finding a meaningful genetic mutation. Some people have suggested that we just not tell the patients about those variants of uncertain significance. But I think that that is a risky approach because it means that we may be telling a patient in 2014, your BRCA testing came back clean, nothing was found, and then recontacting that family a year later or 5 years later to say, hey, you remember that testing you had? We've changed our mind. Something was found. We didn't tell you about it, and now we think it's important. So I don't think that's the approach that we really want to use going forward. But perhaps at this point, it is time to consider BRCA testing in all people of Jewish ancestry where the chance of carrying such a mutation is 1 in 43. It's certainly time to beef up our efforts of offering testing to people with a personal and/or a family history of breast, ovarian, or pancreatic cancer, particularly in those families with early onset breast cancer. We may also want to consider doing a study, a population-based study of BRCA1 and 2 testing so that we can measure the risks and the benefits of not only finding a mutation, but finding a variant of uncertain significance. Will that increase unnecessary surveillance and therefore biopsies? Could it prompt some unnecessary prophylactic surgeries in people who are very concerned? And those surgeries also have their side effects. One population of interest who might be a great place to start would be women who are premenopausal, but over the age of 40 and having their uterus removed for some other non-cancerous reason, so endometriosis or uterine fibroids. And so the take on this, right now, the option of doing population testing for BRCA1 and 2 mutations might be a bit premature, but let's move forward with some clinical studies and really think about this as an option for the future.